This is the Late Late Lunch Show with Rod Maxwell.
Supported by
Child-led learning in nature's playground.
It's Rod Maxwell and Radio Alti on the Late Late Lunch Show, supported by our friends from Back to the Garden Childcare. And today we're talking about a young artist based in the area who has released an album, has written the album, has performed on the album, and is a pupil of the music place in Altrincham. If I said she's just turned 12 years of age, if you listen to the album, you would not believe it. Today I'm speaking to Sophia Bacall. Hello, Sophia. How are you?
Hi, I'm good, thanks.
Now, let's talk about you and music, first of all. When did you discover that you had a musical talent, or even that you had an interest in music?
Well, I started I remember it was at my 10th birthday party, and we did this really cool thing where we could go to a recording studio and we could record our own versions of a song. But I started songwriting, I think, around 8 or 9, and that was when I just got out my notebook and just started, because I love songs and I love singing to them and listening to them. So I kind of was like, what would happen if I made my own? So I started just writing in my notebook drafts. And then at my 10th birthday party, I didn't ever think, was I good at singing or anything? Or would I want to, maybe even do this for the rest of my life? But in my 10th birthday party, we did a recording party, and it was amazing. And we had such a great time, and I enjoyed it so much. So I was I want to do this all the time. It's amazing. And if I can make my own tunes and my own songs, it would just be the most magical experience ever. So I started writing songs, creating tunes for them, and putting music to them. And then I started recording them, and it was just it felt magical, and it felt like something that I really wanted to do, because all my friends had maybe something that they loved to do, maybe sports or, different stuff like that. And maybe even education that they really liked and specific subjects. But I didn't really have my proper thing. And then when music came, I felt like I'd finally understood what was my place to shine. And I really just loved music. So yeah, that's how I started.
And I mean, I think you play instruments, do you not?
Yeah.
So what came first for you? Was it your voice, or was it playing an instrument? And if it was the instrument, what instruments was it?
Well, it was kind of around the same period. So I started singing, and then my next door neighbour, it's a funny story actually, she's a piano teacher, so it's really useful. And I was just because I kind of wanted to learn an instrument to, try something new. Because I hadn't really had much experience with music. So I was like, maybe I could try piano, what's the harm of it? And if I don't like it, I don't like it. And at first it's quite difficult because it's really new. But after a while, I started really liking it. And we started playing chords in different songs. And I started being and I liked specific chords. And then I started putting them together and kind of having a slow process of picking out chords and putting them into my own songs. And then I learned guitar after that, I think a year later or a year and a half, because I thought, listening to songs, there was quite a lot of guitar in lots of them, especially ones that I liked. And I think guitar is really useful, because piano for me is for more kind of sad, slow ballads, and guitar can be used for that. But I think it's great to make an upbeat hit kind of thing. So yeah, those two are the main instruments to create a song of variation. So
well,
yeah.
we'll talk more about your background in music. We'll talk more about your inspiration. We'll obviously talk about your album. You can get it now across different. It's across all the major streaming platforms, is it not?
Yeah, I think it's on most of them. Yeah.
Right. Well, I don't know too many other 12-year-olds who've got albums on Spotify or Apple Music, so it's a fantastic story. Today, my guest is Sophia Bacall. She's from the local area. She's from Altrincham, and she has released an album, Where Am I? You can get it now on wherever you stream your music from. We'll talk to her a little bit more in a couple of minutes' time.
You're listening to the Late Late Lunch Show with
Back to the Garden Childcare. where little explorers grow naturally.
You listen to Rod Maxwell on the Late Late Lunch Show on Radio Alti, supported by our friends from Back to the Garden Childcare. And today I'm delighted to be talking about music and with Sophia Bacall, who is a 12-year-old, I don't want to say school kid, because that doesn't sound like it right, but you're a 12-year-old girl in the area who is into singing and written an album. Now, the album has, 12 tracks on it? 10 songs, actually, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So understanding that you have a voice and you can play an instrument, what led you to write your own song? Because I think it's a massively personal thing to do, and you're exposing a lot of yourself when you do it. What was that process like for you? Did you write down some words and think, I'll put this to music, or did you have a tune in your head? How did it work, Sophia?
Well, I always in school loved creative writing, like writing stories and stuff was my thing. And before songwriting, I just loved writing stories. But when I started slowly coming to the realization that I did love music, I was thinking, I love songs and stuff. What if I try and make my own and maybe even create my own story and put my perspective into that? And I've not had I've not had any experience with like relationships or love. But after reading books and stuff and hearing other people's, lives and their stories, I thought, why don't I kind of create a story in my head about maybe love in a relationship and something that's happened. And I put how I would deal with it into a song. And I think it's amazing to think, with artists, when they write songs, people from even different cultures can feel and understand what someone's saying and singing about, no matter how different their lives are. And I just, over time, I slowly started writing, converting my stories into songs in like the first person and different perspectives. And it just started to build up because it was a habit that I kept doing. And then over time, I maybe look back at some songs that I wrote ages ago and depict them and like work at them, and some of them I still use, and some I create new parts that make the song as a whole finished. And
when you are doing it, are you singing into your phone, right? I mean, I often go around Altrincham when I'm performing with the Music Place Choir, or I had a little, we called it a man band for a while. I would find myself walking around with the dog singing, and my biggest issue is with no memory, I can never remember words. But do you find yourself sometimes music's in your head and you think, I've got to get the phone out to get that down? How does it work for you?
Yeah, it's exactly like that. So sometimes I might be doing chores or just doing anything, and maybe it's even in the classroom, and I just kind of get a tune sometimes. But like someone said a good phrase and like, ooh, that's a really interesting kind of sentence to say. I could write that down. And it's sometimes lyrics first or it's sometimes tune first. But I mean, I think it's normally tune. And then I might just sing like 3 minutes worth of a song, into my phone, maybe like record it on voice memos or something, and then I'll listen to it and I'll write down the lyrics, and then maybe if some bits didn't make sense or I thought, oh, maybe I could use something else, then I'd rewrite that, and over time it becomes improved and it ends up as a finished project with the music after a while. But yeah, it starts from something, it's crazy how it can start from something so small to hearing someone say something that's really cool to ending up having a whole like 3-4 minute song. It's really cool.
And that creative process and that ability to take an idea and build it into a song, and it grows and it grows, that's quite incredible, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's so cool how you can come up, someone can just say something and you start to get a tune, and yeah, I just felt really understood when I found out music, and I felt that this was my place.
This is the Late Late Lunch Show with Rod Maxwell on Radio Alti.
It's Rod Maxwell on Radio Alti. Today I'm delighted to be speaking with Sophia Bacall. She is a 12-year-old singer-songwriter, and she's a member of the pupil of this music place in Altrincham, and has released her debut album, which is Where I Am, or Where Am I should say. Let's talk about influences. Are you somebody who is very influenced by artists today? Have you gone back into other artists? Because I have to admit, when I was listening to the album, and just before we did the interview, I went back and refreshed my memory, and I was hearing a little bit of Patti Smith, Suzanne Vega, a little bit of Alanis Morissette, a little bit of Chrissie Hynde, right? And then I could easily turn around and probably think about a number of contemporary artists today who are also very similar, and there's a drama, and there's a storytelling in it, and there's a real maturity about it. Who would you draw on when you're thinking about your sound?
My influences and the people I look up to, if you're thinking like artists and stuff, this is probably very expected, but I really like Taylor Swift's music. I like her more sad kind of, like, I think her lyrics are absolute genius, and I think that the way she uses stories and puts it all together, I think it's amazing. And I think especially her album, The Torch Poets Department, or just her most recent one, The Life of a Showgirl, with The Fate of Ophelia, how she uses the story of Hamlet into a song and connects it to herself. She started young at 16, and I think she's a really big influence for me, and she was one of the reasons why I started songwriting, and how it all, started to come to me. And other people, maybe like Harry Styles, how he started in a band, but then went as a solo artist, and he really took off. I really like recent artists like that, but I also really like maybe like Dolly Parton. I think she's got some amazing inspirational songs, or bands like the Beatles, because they've got I find it really interesting, some of their lyrics, and kind of finding out the meanings too, like all the words.
And this is what I find fascinating about today's world, is that within your phone, within a Spotify account or an Apple Music account, you've got access to all this music. I'm sure in your parents' day, it was like I was going into my sister's record collection, and then whatever was there, or taping off the top 40, which is something you will never know about. But and therefore your access to music was more constrained. Today, I do find that your generation has been open to so much music that you're drawing inspiration for so many places, and the artists you mentioned are drawing theirs for so many places as well. There doesn't seem to be the same boundaries to music anymore. You can't put it into rock, pop, indie, jazz. It's sort of more fused in that. Would you agree?
Yeah, I do agree, because I think I'm really glad that I have such a big, wide, I can just search it up and it's easy for me, because I think especially, I still collect vinyls, because I just think it's so cool to be able to put it on a record player and play it. But it's, having to, if you had like loads of different artists, it would cost a lot of money. But with easy things like Spotify, you can just, search it up and it's there, and you can play any song. And it's really useful.
Well, I want to come back and talk about how you recorded and that process, because today there are so many different options, and you can DIY, but also publish from bedroom studios, if you like. So I'm really interested in that. So today we're talking to Sophia Bacall. She has released Where Am I? And there's 10 songs written all by yourself, are they?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. We'll take a track, and we'll be back with her in a couple of minutes' time.
You're listening to the Late Late Lunch Show with
Back to the Garden Childcare, where little explorers grow naturally.
So, Sophia, I'm really interested in how you recorded these, because well after I was your age, as you say, the only way to do it was to go into the studio, and you finding one of those was quite difficult, and then you spent all day and often only recorded one track, and it took about 2 hours to get the drummer's track right, which for a singer was always very infuriating, and then you got 5 minutes at the end to sing. How did you record this album?
Well, I start with the album. I have like two different places that I do it. So I have my mum's friend. Her daughter and like loves music as well, and they have like a small kind of house recording setup. So we did songs there. But as an amazing, like the best Christmas gift ever, I got my parents gave me an opportunity to go to Airtight Studios, which is like a bit like of a bigger studio, and I got to record my first proper studio song, which was "Tell Me That You Love Me."
Yeah.
And then with the album, I did quite a lot of it was, I started saving up and doing chores and stuff to save up and go to the studio more. And then I did quite a lot on the album in that studio to make it, sound even better. And then I did some in the home studio as well, because I think, it's amazing how you can still create such an amazing track just from a house.
Now, Airtight, it rings a bell to me, and I'm thinking, was that where is that who recorded there? Was it 10cc recorded there? No, did anybody know?
I'm not sure. I think someone famous did go there once, because I think I asked and they said yeah, but I'm not sure.
And how did you find that studio process? Because you're for me, you're writing the song as yourself, right? And you've got the idea in your head, you can hear it in your head, and then suddenly you go into the studio, there's more people there, you're possibly working with a producer, and I think a good producer brings something to it. They don't just technically record it, but you're starting to collaborate more. How was that process for you? Was it confusing? Was it overwhelming? Or was it nice to share it with people?
I mean, for the first time before I went in, I was like getting quite nervous because I had no idea what would happen. I was like, do I tell them what I want, or do they tell me what to do and stuff? But it was great because I went in and I did, the bass chords of, the guitar. And then after it, I kind of said what I kind of envisioned on the track, and I had it all written down, and we added all of it. And like I maybe suggested some instruments, so we put some more in, like maybe drums or something. And then it all kind of clicked together, and, I added ideas here, and then the producer might have, added, maybe we could add some electric guitar, and it all kind of pieced together. And, it was a great atmosphere because, if I felt that I didn't really like what was put on the track at the time, they could, it was fine if I could just say, could we take that off if that's okay? But it was, I thought it was just such a nice, and it was my favorite part was, singing into the microphone, and because it felt real, because I've always seen like on my phone or on television, just, maybe like my favorite artist, singing to a microphone. And I was like, how would that feel? And now being able to do that, it's really surreal. And
did you sing to a click track? Did you sing to like a basic track, maybe a bass, or did you sing to the whole production?
So we would record the guitar first, then after that, straight after we got the bass chords done, I'd sing to it, and then we'd add instruments afterwards. So I just sang to the guitar and stuff, and because I'd at home while practicing it and making the song, I'd like play the chords and sing it at the same time. So it was great because I started to understand the song, and then when I got to the recording studio, I was like, oh, okay, so there's 2 bars break now, and then I can go back in, kind of thing. So it was, at first it's kind of nerve-wracking, but once I'm in there, it's really fun.
It's an amazing opportunity, I've got to say, and I think I'm sure a lot of people much older than you would be quite overwhelmed going into a studio, and it's a great experience, and it's about collaboration as much as anything else, isn't it? Yeah, it's great to be able to work with people and see their view, and at all the times I've been to the studio, I've worked with the same person, which is great. So we've kind of, we called the album recordings studio sessions the March sessions, which was great. It was a nice name for it, and over time, we kind of both felt a bit more laid back
and it was really good.
We'll take a break and we'll be back with Sophia Bacall in a couple of minutes' time.
This is the Late Late Lunch Show with Rod Maxwell on Radio Alti.
You listen to Radio Alti. It's Rod Maxwell on the Late Late Lunch Show, and I'm delighted to be speaking to Altrincham's. I guess you might well be one of the youngest performing artists that Altrincham has ever had. Do you know that?
Wow.
I'm sure. I don't think there's too many 12-year-olds who have actually recorded a 10-track album and performed. How many of the instruments did you perform on the recording?
Well, all of them kind of, I played the bass, the piano and the guitar. And so what happened, because I only play those instruments, and then all of them kind of have some different instruments in there. So the producer would kind of, play chords, but with different instruments, and it all kind of tied together. So I played the piano and the guitar bits, and then they added it. And I think it's crazy to think, how different and how much, nicer it sounds actually. Not, when you're at home and you're playing just piano with it, or when you can get the strings in and get the full amazing sound. I mean, even if it was just piano and my voice, it sounds so much more professional when it's recorded rather than just at home.
What was it like the first time you sat down and listened to that body of work and listened to yourself? Well, how did that feel?
I mean, it's quite weird, because if you hear someone playing, or if you hear people also singing, like my friends, if you hear them singing to, songs and listening to them, it feels a bit, I almost cringe sometimes at hearing my own voice, because I'm like, I hear that, playing and stuff, but other people choose to listen to it. Like my friends choose to listen to the songs, and it's quite the problem with me is that I'm more, once I've shown friends and stuff, I'm like, what do you think about it? Because I just, I think my opinion is quite biased because I'm quite harsh on myself. But, if I get other people's opinions, it kind of forms my own, which is great.
Well, I think it's, you're becoming so transparent, because it's not just your voice, but it's your thoughts, it's your emotions, it's your playing. I think it's amazing for anybody to be able to do that. Never mind do it on a 10-track album, and it's a very personal thing to do. And I think it's incredibly mature to do it. What have you ever heard anybody sing one of your songs?
Well, I sometimes hear sometimes my friends, if they listen to it sometimes and they sing to it, I'm quite shocked, because I'm like, wow, you've taken your time to listen to one of my songs, and it's incredible how they can learn the lyrics and give me their opinions. And I might hear maybe my mum or my dad sing to them in the car, and it's cool. It's really makes me feel really happy and uplifted to hear people liking what I've made.
No, you're at your age, I'm sure performing is there's limited chances to perform. Maybe I'm wrong there. Have you had many chances to sing or to perform any of your songs live?
I mean, before I started recording songs, at the music place they do open mic nights, and I just sang Adele or one of those singers kind of songs. And then I started being that was another time when it all clicked that I wanted to maybe start recording them and maybe even performing them, because I was like, it's so magical to see people watching you and you being able to sing to them. And then after that I started singing my own songs sometimes for the music place, or there was an anniversary, a family anniversary, and it was quite busy actually, so it was really nerve-wracking, but I sang some of my songs for that, and that was great, and everyone showed really great support. And I've sung at a few places, and it's really, I realize I get really nervous before, but when I'm up there, it's it's like I'm here, and if I make a mistake, it's not the end of the world.
Well, I want to come and talk a little bit more about the music place and how they've helped you, inspired you, guided you as well. We're very lucky in Altrincham to have such a place. So today I'm speaking to Sophia Bacall. She is a recording artist, and her first album is out. It's called Where Am I? 10 tracks on the album, and it's now available on, is it Spotify, Apple, and the likes of Amazon, for example, Sophia?
Yeah, like those kind of things. It's on like most things.
Okay, there you go. Wherever you get your music from, give it a play. And we'll be back with her in a couple of minutes' time.
You're listening to The Late Late Lunch Show with...
Back to the Garden Childcare, where little explorers grow naturally.
It's Rod Maxwell on Radio Alti. Today I'm delighted to be talking to Sophia Bacall, who's a recording artist who has written her first album and recorded it all at the age of 11, because you've just turned 12. So it's quite incredible. Now, the music place, I've been a member of their choir for about 6-7 years now, ever since I came out of hospital, actually. And I find that we're so lucky to have the richness of the resource, the skills of the people there, and how they inspire you. Just talk to me. When did you first go to the music place, and was it for instrument or for voice?
How long ago was that? Maybe like 2 years ago. Because I started singing lessons, so it was around probably 2 years ago. And I wanted to maybe do some singing lessons, because I started finding that I really liked singing. So I started that, and we started, practicing more. And that's when another thing that really, helped me, with my singing and my music, and then after that, when I realized I wanted to learn guitar, so that would have been like maybe a year ago or a bit less than that. Then I took guitar lessons there, and my piano teacher, who's next door, actually also works at the music place.
So it's a very central to your musical ability, and one of the things I like about it is the concerts they put on. It gives you the chance to actually perform, because I think it's one thing going and taking a lesson. It's a totally different thing to perform, and it almost completes the cycle. And I sometimes think you need the I don't know, what would you call it? You need the drama of the performance to make sure that you're ready. I feel very different when I'm performing versus when I'm rehearsing. The concerts they put on are really important for you to get that experience, are they not?
And I think it's good, because it's slow. It's not like I'm the first time I performed, I had to do it in front of a really big audience. I mean before the music place, I think I was in a choir actually called the Halle Choir for 2 years, and then I was moving into secondary school, so I needed to focus a bit more on like schoolwork and stuff. But yes, that was a help as well, because it was like maybe like 100 people or more watching, but there was I was with other people, and it was and then when I started to realize, I like maybe, singing solo, in front of, those audiences, it was, I think it's really useful, because it's not like, for your first time really scary, but it's a good way to build it up. I
don't know about you, but sometimes it can feel very nerve-wracking. Right. So my issue is that I have no short-term memory, so I can't remember chords. I play a bit of guitar, I can never remember the chords, and sometimes I forget the lyrics, and I'm standing up there and I go, and then it clicks, and I'm okay, and it's getting used to that type of thing, isn't it? That's the big difference between writing and recording and then performing. It's another level, really, isn't it, Sophia?
Yeah, I mean, like when I have performed, sometimes that's happened, but I kind of just think about what I've just sang and kind of just go to that, or maybe even just hum a bit and maybe even come up with something else just that could fit in that time, and then after it's clicked, then I can jump back in. So it's just all about, I mean, it's a tiny bit of time that you can try come up with something, but you just kind of got to maybe hum it, or you've just got to sell it. Like, they don't, the thing with my songs is that the audience realistically won't really know the lyrics. So if I go wrong and maybe even just say like a small wrong thing, they're not going to notice if I just confidently look and sing.
It's all about smiling and being confident.
Yeah.
And the good thing is, if you're doing one of your own songs, some of them may not have know the song, so you can get away with a little bit of ad-libbing, basically. I want to take another break and then come back and talk about the reaction that you've had to the album, and also talk about what's next and your aspirations. So today, delighted to be speaking to Sophia Bacall. She, at 12 years of age now, 11 when she recorded the album. How long did it take to record it, actually, Sophia?
I mean, it took a while, but because, we're saving up. But my birthday, we released it on my birthday, so it was very useful because I could say, like, sometimes ask my mum, for my birth, like some of my birthday presents were recording studios, so I just got given those early so I could do the album. So we did that, and I also saved up a bit, so it took maybe 2 months to do the album. Well,
well done to you, and it's nice to have a gift that becomes a gift as well. We'll take a break and we'll talk a little bit about really reaction and the aspiration to the album. The album is Where Am I? And the artist is Sophia Bacall. We'll be back with her and wrapping up next.
This is the Late Lunch Show with Rod Maxwell on Radio Alti.
You listen to Radio Alti. It's Rod Maxwell on the Late Lunch Show, and I love talking about music, and I specifically love talking about people who make their own music. And I think this story is very inspirational because, I mean, you're 12. I mean, it's quite amazing. And you were 11 when you did this. What's been the reaction that you've had from people to the album? What have people said to you?
I think it's really interesting to see how everyone has different opinions, because what I thought might be maybe like the main single or what everyone would like, it's kind of taken a turn because everyone likes really different, like there's a big kind of range of people who like different stuff on the album. And I mean, I think lots of them, I had a funny conversation with my friends, and one of my songs actually coincidentally really actually works to someone from a TV show. And it was not intentional, but we were like, wait, what? So that was a cool realization. And yeah, I think lots of people, all like my friends and family, it's really cool to, like we were saying before, to see them slowly like learn the lyrics, which is really cool, and say what their opinion on it is. And some of them are based off of, friends or family. So, some of them find it, or I'd mention them and they find it quite, it's quite special to hear it. And
of course the writing, recording is, I don't know, 50-60% of it, but then there's the publishing, it's getting artwork and that type of thing. You must have learnt a lot through that process.
Yeah, so with the artwork and the album covers and stuff, it's quite funny because I kind of, I write the album first, and then I might even just, like, from a holiday, just find, oh my gosh, that's actually a really good picture for this album, or this, single or song, and I use that. Or like for Where Am I, the album, I went to a walk I went on a walk with my dog, and we took pictures, and there was this, it was perfect, and there was this like line of trees, and it was like a wood, and I was like, wait, this is absolutely perfect. This is exactly what I wanted. And I don't show my face on the pictures just for safety reasons. But
yeah.
I took, we took it from my back, and we were like, wait, this looks really cool. And we got a bit of ivy off of a tree and put it on my back, and we were like, it's quite cool. I think all of my album and song covers are quite like naturey, because at the moment I can't have photo shoots and stuff. So yeah, it's cool how I can try, make what there is work.
I think I recognize those trees. I'm not saying I know exactly where that is, but I do a lot of dog walks in the area, and there's a set of beech trees somewhere. So it's lovely. I think that is, there's something about that because it's more natural. I think sometimes music today can be too much about the look. I'm absolutely convinced that somebody is going to take somebody. Like a producer or a label is going to take somebody who cannot sing, cannot write, cannot play any musical instruments, but just on social media alone, they will get them to number one, not on talent. And sometimes I get rather annoyed at the music industry because it can be sometimes so much about look. This is, as a 12-year-old, you can't use your look, and you're not using your look, you're using your talent, and that, I think that is so much better and is so much more authentic and organic. So there you go. Can I ask, now that you've done this, clearly you've got school, you've got exams, you've got other things, but what has it inspired you to do next?
After my album, I'm just going to be working back on singles because I think they're definitely easier. But further on, it's a really big aspiration. But if in my dreams, if I could, my dream job would probably be a singer or a performer, that kind of thing. Because I just think it's magical how people, singers can go into stadiums and have, do concerts, which is, if someone asks me what is your favorite thing to do, go to a concert, because it's such a magical experience to learn someone's lyrics and then be able to sing with them, and it would be the most amazing, incredible feeling to have written it yourself and have people singing back to you, and it's hearing crowds and all of that is just amazing. But that would be my dream, but it's all about working up to it, which is very difficult.
And I guess it's also balancing school and all the other things as well. Well, look, I wish you an awful lot of good luck. I think it's an amazing story. And, the thing about it is that somebody from a studio somewhere might pick that up and put it into a TV program. That's the lovely thing. It's out there now. You don't know where it might go. And I think keep on doing the singles. You're right. Singles, as much as albums are great bodies of work, it seems that singles are the thing that sort of can help, really. But I wish you all the very best of luck. Thank you for your time. It's amazing, I have to say. And I mean it totally sincerely. So my guest today has been Sophia Bacall, and the album is Where Am I? And it's now available wherever you get your music from. Sophia, thank you very much.
This is the Late Late Lunch Show with
Back to the Garden Childcare, where little explorers grow naturally.